Hello, I'm John Shepherd and I'm going to answer a couple of questions that have been sent into the YouTube channel and via my Instagram, and all these questions relate to the development of speed and power. The first question comes from Shoaib Khan, and he's referring to the real workouts video that I did for sprinters and jumpers, and he's asking whether or not he should start to do similar exercises, a similar workout to the one in the video, 2 months or so before his competition season. And adding a little bit more detail, he's asking about whether light plyometrics and light weights are beneficial in terms of this conversion, i.e. to get him ready for the season. Although this will help, it's not going to be as successful as would be a specific conditioning routine that involves the types of workouts that are in that particular video, the ones that combine weights and plyometrics and heavy load, relatively heavy load weights that is, with the plyometrics. So we're talking about 80% of 1 rep maximum lifts, such as hang cleans and jump squats for example, combined with reactive drop jumps and concentric jumps for example. Doing this will target your fast twitch muscle fibers and the motor units that control them, and give you a greater power boost and an opportunity to express power in your preferred event, whether it be long jump, sprints or triple jump for example. If you're only to train with light weights, then you're not really overloading your muscles and your motor units and your neuromuscular system in a way that's akin to what's going to happen when you take off, for example, in the long jump or reach maximum velocity in a sprint. You've got to overcome a lot more force, for example, on the takeoff or at maximum velocity. At takeoff in the long jump, multiples of your body weight, for example. Therefore, you need to train your body, your muscles and the neuromuscular system to be able to deal with those forces, to be able to absorb force and then create force in that elastic movement between the stretch and the reflex in the muscles. Light weights performed quickly can have a little benefit in terms of perhaps speeding up your ability to move quickly, but you're a bit limited because no matter how fast you move that weight, you're never going to be able to move it as fast as you would be able to when you're sprinting flat out, for example. Therefore, I like to use the heavier load principle combined with plyometrics in order to really target the fast twitch muscle fibers. So returning to the question, in the 2 months that he's got available, and it also depends on what he's been doing previously, as if he's not been doing any particular weight training before then, it's probably going to be actually counterproductive to start weight training in that 2 month period. Probably he'd be better off doing the plyometrics and more speed work and sprinting in order to bring his ability to express power and speed up to an optimum level, i.e. doing the things that are much more specific to enhancing his potential improvement and his event. The other thing that I'm going to add, which will be relatively familiar to those of you who've been following the videos on the channel, will be the use of triphasic training, i.e. training different muscular actions plyometrically and with weights, for example. So we're training at the moment eccentrically to be able to withstand force. That's when a muscle goes on stretch. So when you hit the board, for example, in the long jump, the muscles of the ankle, knee and hip go on stretch. They perform what's known as an eccentric action. And then we're also training isometrically, where there's no movement in creating force. So for example, we'll do leg press where we'll be resisting against a very heavy weight and pressing back into the plate for about 8 to 10 seconds to create maximum tension under load. And we've been finding that this has been helping with our power expression and the ability to break, withstand force and then create force quickly. And in helping to do that, the latter aspect, the creating of force, that's where the plyometrics come in. So we'll always combine an element of triphasic training, a couple of exercises, eccentric, isometric for example, with plyometric exercises. And the second question comes in from Mr. Trackman 100, and he's asking a question in response to the "Is weight training a waste of time?" video. And he specifically queries whether or not he should continue to do deadlifts and squats, and whether he should replace those with single leg exercises and plyometric exercises. What I've found is that certain exercises are needed. For example, squats, lunges, leg presses for sprinting and jumping. It's just that I think that sometimes we package them in the wrong way. and we overemphasize certain ways of doing those exercises and indeed the frequency at which those exercises are done. What do I mean by that? Well, for example, I've got a number of jumpers and sprinters in my group who in their early 20s now are very concentrically strong. Now, some of them can quite easily jump over 3 meters doing the standing long jump, and that exercise relies a lot on concentric strength. So therefore, I reason that if they have that level of power, a level of concentric power, I hasten to add, that perhaps they don't need to develop it any further. A lot of coaches are beginning to come around to the viewpoint of how much strength do you actually need, or how much concentric strength do you actually need, and that there are more specific and better ways to develop power required for all the athletic events, not just sprints and jumps, but javelin, shot put, pole vault, etc., etc. I've said it before in other videos that I place weight training about 4th in my notional conditioning hierarchy for the jumps and sprints. At the top would be technique work, then we would have speed, then we would have plyometrics, and then potentially weight training thereafter. Now, I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail in answering this question because I'm going to refer you to some of the videos on the very subject on the channel. But what I will say is that the training you do has to be specific to your event. You don't want to be wasting your time doing lots of spurious exercises that will potentially not benefit your actual event performance. I will pick up on one specific theme in the question, and that's the value between single leg and double leg weight training exercises and plyometric exercises. There are some coaches that advocate half knee bend squats, double leg squats, whereas others will be more in favour of single leg squats and lunges, for example. No matter how strong you are, you'll always be able to generate more force with 2 legs in the weights room. So therefore, some argue that to provide a basis of strength for single leg exercises, you should do double leg exercises, for example. I take on board that comment, even though I don't have so much emphasis on weight training as other coaches do. So we do double leg exercises, and we do double leg eccentric and isometric, as well as concentric exercises and single leg versions of those as well. I'm looking to cover a number of bases there. However, I would preferentially have the athletes perform more single leg exercises, particularly once they've reached a high level of specific strength developed over a number of years of training. And in a way, I apply the same principles or thoughts to plyometric exercises. We tend to do less double-footed jumps compared to single leg ones. There are times, however, when double leg exercises are potentially more preferential. That's when doing higher level drop jumps and eccentric landing jumps. One of the key aspects, however, regardless of whether you're doing single or double leg landing drop jumps or depth jumps, is the angle at which the athlete contacts the ground, at the knee in particular. With double leg exercises, there can be a tendency to lower more than with single leg ones. And as I'm always looking for the specifics of an exercise and how it will relate to an actual jumping event, for example, we don't want to have too much knee bend, as the joint angles will be different to those involved in the actual event. We want the jumper, for example, to be able to land from a drop jump, perhaps on one leg, and power out of it in a similar way to how they would when doing a long jump, for example. By doing this, I believe that there's going to be greater synergy between the exercise and the outcome, i.e. improving jump performance. Now, there was another part of the question sent in by Mr. Trackman100, and he did ask about whether or not my training philosophy and principles are packaged in any way. And to be honest, the only way they are is on this YouTube channel. It did get me thinking about whether or not I should try to put them down into a written format, into an article or into a small book, but I'd like to hear whether or not you guys would be willing to support that in any way, or firstly whether you think that's a good idea. Do subscribe to the channel and do click on the bell notification icon so you'll get regularly updated when new videos are released. And I'd also like to say that I've started to use the community section more and more. Now this is available to channel subscribers, so that's another reason potentially for you subscribing to the channel, as within that section I'm posting some kind of exclusive content, whether they be short videos from a training session or even specific exercises that we've done. And I've also linked through to my website and some longer articles where I felt it necessary to explain in a little bit more detail something that's perhaps been discussed or asked in a video. Good luck with your training and competitions. And if you'd like to find out more about the Freelap timing system, drop me a message